Welcome to Out of the Blue, number 14. Beginning of our second season. Today, this whole season is dedicated to Gramps, my grandfather. That's my mother there, that's my grandfather. And that is a summer friend who we don't know their name. But Warren Chesterman, my grandfather's name. He was born in 1911 and lived to be 85. Now, we're going to be going on the road this season. This is very, very, very significant. It's an unexpected development. Thought we were going somewhere else, but we are going to Weiser.
I follow the Tao.
I follow the Tao. The Tao. So when Cain says he's following the Tao, he follows the Tao. He's talking about Taoism. Talking about this book. The Shaolin monks are religious Taoists. But if you just read the Tao and you have a copy of it and the philosophy informs your life, that makes you a philosophical Taoist. So most of us are philosophical Taoists. I'm going to read number 77, and I'm going to use this violin bow to illustrate number 77, even though in the actual text they're probably referring to a bow and arrow. Number 77. As it acts in the world, the Tao is like the bending of a bow. The top is bent downwards, the bottom is bent up. It adjusts excess and deficiency so that there is perfect balance. It takes from what is too much and gives to what isn't enough. Those who try to control, who use force to protect their power, go against the direction of the Tao. They take from those who don't have enough and give to those who have far too much. The master can keep giving because there is no end to her wealth. She acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and doesn't think that she is better than anyone else. So, here we have a violin bow. It's called a violin bow because it is descended from a bow and arrow. And a violin bow is an extremely interesting thing because with this one thing, you hold in your hand the entire world. The entire world, because here you have Pernambuco, which is a wood from South America. Here you have ebony, which is a wood from Africa. In here you have a little spread wedge, it's called, which is North American maple. And here you have another spread wedge, which is European spruce. This hair is from a Siberian horse. This is abalone, which is out of the ocean. This is silver, which is out of the earth. On the hair is rosin, which comes out of a tree. This is the thumb leather, which is sometimes from a goat, sometimes from a lizard. This is called whalebone, which back in the day was made from a whale, and now it's made from plastic. And this is this little white tip. Used to be made from ivory, from an elephant, and now they use mastodon, which is extinct elephants. This polish uses shellac, which comes from a bug, and it uses alcohol. So it's shellac and alcohol. So you have a tree, you have a lizard, you have a petroleum product, you have a bug, you have a horse, you have South America, Africa, Siberia, North America, Europe, the ocean, abalone, the earth, silver. You have something that is still alive because the tree that they get the sap out of is still alive. And you have the mastodon tusk, which is from ancient times. So you have the present and the ancient past and the entire world in your hands with this one thing. And being as it is, a thing that is transformed, it is a bow, just like a bow and arrow. But a bow and arrow is a weapon. So what you have here is something that is symbolic of the transformation from weapon to musical instrument. From something that is designed to stop a heart. A bow and arrow will stop the heart of your prey, or it might stop the heart of your enemy, to something that is going to touch a heart. In other words, the music you make touches people's hearts. The hunter aims for the heart, and the musician aims for the heart also. And this is pertinent to Neo Suio Suio because we want to use this as a symbol, and we want to take the what's happening today is we have this problem with people shooting each other and solving their trying to resolve their differences with weapons. Now, aggression cannot really be stopped. There's no way to stop people from being angry. But we can change how we resolve these problems. And what I propose is that instead of shooting each other, we battle it out. Instead of shooting each other like animals, because that's what animals, you know, a bullet is a piece of lead. And so monkeys in the jungle will throw rocks at each other, throw things at each other. And so by shooting each other with bullets, we're basically just being like animals. We're trying to club each other as hard as we can. And if you take a piece of lead and you fire it out of a gun, it's just an extension of throwing a rock. It's an advanced form of rock throwing. So instead of that, I challenge us as a world to resolve our differences musically. There's a thing called a cutting contest. There was a guy named Jabbo Smith, Jabbo Smith. Jabbo Smith was the guy who cut Louis. And what that means is, back in the day, the early days of jazz, they'd have cutting contests just on the street corner down in New Orleans. And Jabbo was a trumpeter, and a cutting contest means you try to cut the other guy. Now, you're not physically cutting him with a knife. You are musically cutting him, which means you are trying to outplay the other guy. And Louis Armstrong was a huge name in this, a big star, but Jabbo cut Louis. Jabbo's famous for cutting Louis. So Jabbo outplayed Louis. And that's what we're getting at. So instead of shooting people with guns, we want to take our bows and refine our skills and become artists instead of murderers. I mentioned earlier that airplane we heard. We're going to get punny, very punny in this series, and one of the useful puns is hearing. And hearing, because hearing keeps you here. Hearing is a technique for being present. Presence. You receive presence. You are present. And so this is my window in Chicago, and what do we hear? We hear the leaves rustling. We hear the din of traffic. We hear birds singing. We often hear airplanes. You can hear the L, the train track from here. You can hear car horns. You can hear sirens. But at the moment, relatively quiet.